back. So I've been on your podcast.
Yes, you have.
And now I've dragged you into mine.
You've literally dragged me here, like you do with gym sessions, literally. That's
so,
me here.
Thanks for coming. Let's go back first. I want to know about your childhood and the early parts of your life.
Wow, deep. Childhood, okay, so two brothers, me and my brother, two of us, really normal childhood. I lived in a semi-detached house, moved into a detached house, normal school. Parents, my dad used to be, going back a bit further, my dad used to be a professional footballer many, many years ago. He ended up in his own business, doing very, very well, floated on the stock market. My mum and dad ended up splitting up at 11, when I was 11, 12, so I was going through the exams at the stage, which, you know, I was exposed to quite a lot of things during that split up, seen a lot, heard a lot more than what I perhaps should have at that age.
How old were you?
I think 11 or 12.
11 or 12.
So secondary school, 1 or 2 years in, lots of things changing in my life, but also seeing lots of things changing at home as well. But apart from that, look, parents were amazing. They always were there for us, and actually the split was the best thing for them both, but at the time it put probably a lot on me as a 12, 13-year-old, however it was at that time. But very different parents. Parents were, mum super responsible, super caring, there for everything, whether it's football, whether it's school pick-up, drop-off, she was there for everything, always been very reliable. My dad was really ambitious, really pushy, always wanted the best from us, you know, whether it was playing football, he was always, you know, demanding from me, you know, put your tackles in, be strong, be first, you know, very pushy from that side of things. And obviously my mum was more caring, more doting. And I actually feel like as I've gone through life, I've realised some of the things that perhaps I've got from them inadvertently from how they parented, and some of the things perhaps I would and wouldn't do being a parent myself now. But in short, look, really good, normal life, huge amounts of pressure. My dad was very successful, very, very successful. He floated his company on the stock market in 1996 in London.
1996, so how old are you?
So I was 12, 13, that same age.
And were you a part of that? Do you remember like the build-up to it? And
I remember not seeing my dad a great deal because he'd missed lots of things, whether it's football or plays and concerts, and it wasn't on purpose. I knew he had to work, and I knew he was doing everything, all these things. He was doing it for us, but he wasn't there a great deal during that time. I think probably contributed towards the split up. But I got a much better version of my dad after that. You know, I've got more time with him. But the pressure of a successful dad. Just give you an example. He had a Rolls Royce. You know, when he floated his company, and I used to hate going to school. He used to drop us off at school. I used to hate it.
Really?
Yeah.
Put a target on you?
Yeah, it made me... Every single person, up until my early 20s, even with Lewis as well, actually, to be fair, assumed that Carl and Lewis was spoon-fed.
Right.
You know, they put two and together. His dad's doing wow. He's driving a Rolls Royce. Everything you've got in life has been given to you. That couldn't be any further from the truth. Going in a Rolls Royce, I didn't want to stand out. I didn't want people to think I was rich. I wanted to be normal. I wanted to be treated the same. I didn't want to be, have that label put on me. So that has driven me a lot throughout my life, where I didn't want to be known as Gary's son. You know, that label, oh, it's Gary's son. I wanted to be Carl. I wanted to be my own person. I wanted to have my own successes. And I always did say that I wanted to overshadow my dad. I wanted to make him proud, but I wanted to better what he'd done. And he'd done amazing things. What he's done in his life is, if I told you some of the stories, you'd be like, wow. But that was a big driver for me. I always wanted to beat and compete my dad, because there was this huge shadow of pressure on me, not from him, but from people's perceptions that, oh, you've got this. And the honest truth is, for me, bought my first car on my own, got my first job on my own, bought my first house on my own, didn't have any help. My dad was always, and my mum, were always of the opinion, you've got to go and work for it. You know, my first job was a paper round. I worked at Toys R Us at 15, 16 years old, part-time whilst I was in college. So I was working 3 nights a week, pushing the trolleys and selling PCs and all the stuff that you perhaps don't see, they're not particularly glamorous.
It surprises me. I never knew that about your dad. And you've told me about your upbringing, and I was surprised when you said that he had the business and the money, because you've always spoke about how you grafted for it, and you started in an estate agent very young, and did your time.
Yeah, and that is true. But the truth is, my dad done very, very well. He came into a lot of money. Honestly, divorce affected that success. But that his success was a negative on me. Perhaps not Lewis. It was a negative on me where I actually felt the pressure of having to live up to bettering him. Being a professional footballer, I was never as good as my dad. Never. And then seeing him work, I was thinking, could I ever beat or compete and do that? And that was the big driver. And when I most things I do now, whether it's playing football, going to the gym, and hopefully you'll agree on this, or even work, if I'm not the smartest, which a lot of the time I'm not, I will always ensure I'll work harder than you, always, whether it's at work or football or in the gym, which you've seen this morning. That's made me super competitive, because that work ethic is my edge against most people. And that's been my edge in work, in football, in gym, and that all strives back to beating and competing and bettering my dad. And his success was a blessing and a curse, to me.
Do you think that you would be where you are today if your dad wasn't so successful?
No way.
No way, no?
He set the platform. My dad is he's a hero. He's my hero, and as is my mum as well, by the way. But my dad is so positive that he makes himself feel that anything is possible, whether it's an idea or a concept or doing something. He's always got a positive outlook, and it's a generational thing. But my dad reminds me of Del Boy from Only Fools and Horses, and not as in like a wheelie dealer, but he come from the roughest part, the worst estate you can think of, where the chances of being successful is probably less than 1%, just to get out of where he's from. So the fact that he came from a council estate, probably doing very naughty things at a very young age.
Yes.
My mum probably, meeting my mum at a very young age, I think he met at 15, 16, got him on the straight and narrow. But the fact that he done what he done from where he was from is unbelievable, because I say to you very often in the gym, you are a product of your environment. Yes. Where you are, whether it's the people you're around or where you live or
100%.
Whatever it might be, can influence how you're going to be in life. And very quickly he got himself out of where he was from, met my mum, which was probably a blessing for him.
That's insane. Coming from that background and not having exposure to wealth or money, and then going to the heights that he did. That's special. It
is, and all his brothers and sisters, they're so different. They've all got their own wins in their own ways. But my dad has been incredible, and his dad, my grandfather, used to be an Elvis impersonator.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, like where he was brought up was a place called Bell Green in Coventry. So not the nicest of areas, but I mean, when I say he was a local celebrity, like everyone knew him. All the ladies used to chuck hankies at him, and I actually think my dad got his charisma, enthusiasm, and energy from that.
Yeah, for sure.
Honestly, like hundreds of people in this Bell Green club all singing this Elvis song, and he's at the front dressed up in the full gear.
That's awesome.
I don't know how he felt about it at the time, but it's interesting that little things perhaps in your life shape you as people. Maybe that confidence rubbed off on my dad. I can see it in my brother Lewis. You meet him, he's a bundle of energy. But yeah, what he's done is incredible, and if anything, it's been a good thing, but it's also put a lot of pressure on me, and that's my pressure, not his, not anything he's done.
Did you know from an early age, obviously you spoke about the pressure, your dad was successful, you wanted to better his achievements. Did you know with confidence from a young age, I will do that? Did you have this self-belief, or was it like, I'm going to do it as best as I can, but who knows where I'll end up?
What I did know is that I would work harder than most people, to at least get where I needed to get to. As I've gone through life, as you develop as a person, you get more confidence, right?
Yeah. It comes with age.
Yeah, it does. Maybe the wanting to beat and compete was trying to get his attention.
Right.
Quite possibly. But what I did know is when I stepped on the football pitch, so about 17, 18 years old, Sunday League, I knew if I played well, and I'm not a particularly good footballer, but if I played well, and this is the inner confidence in me, we would win.
Right.
We would win that game.
Right.
I knew if I went into work and I worked as hard as I could do, I knew I would be right up there.
Right.
I knew when we set up Allsopp and Allsopp, 2008, I knew something in my body that we would be the biggest and the best one day.
Yes.
And at the time, people looking at us thinking, you're wild.
What are you talking about?
It's you're million miles away, but something there where I knew it was going to happen. Does that come from my dad? Possibly. But I don't know, like, I just think if you don't think and believe something, then how are you ever going to achieve something? And I don't know how I can explain how it's programmed in me, but if anything, I just think anything's possible. We're all born and built the same, right?
Yeah.
And we're shaped through parents, upbringing, where we are, but you also make the decision about how you're going to be.
Absolutely.
My decision was, well, you know I've got a massive, I've got a big shoes to fill. I know to not just be Gary's son and just not, go through life like that. I've got to do everything I can to show the people at school that think I was a silver spoon, to show my dad, and also to me to think, maybe a bit of self-worth, in terms of you.
Sure. Yeah.
You've proven it to yourself 100%.
As well. 100%. I set out on this mission and I did it. And that's so powerful.
Yeah.
That's, again, adding to your confidence, adding to your self-belief. It's just verifying everything you had in your mind the whole time. Like, yeah I did it.
Yeah.
One thing I want to try and get into, something I've been reading a lot about recently, is the power of visualizing and seeing it in your mind before you do it. And what you said so far is kind of going to that.
Yeah.
And something that I've heard a lot from very successful people, very, very successful billionaires, the books and the stuff that they put out there, their content, is writing out goals, visualizing the goals, and you've pretty much verified this one thing for me already, that I hear it a lot from them, is like, anytime I hear the word impossible, that's a trigger for me to be like, oh, well, there's a way of doing that, because that other human just said it's impossible. So I know there's a way of doing it. It's not impossible. I'm going to be the one that figures it out. And so that you've already pretty much answered for me. But then the visualization thing, like, have you ever used visualization? It's something that a lot of these other successful people do. It's something that a lot of athletes do now, where they have to go through the actual event that they're going to do in their mind and visualize winning and getting the point or the score or hitting the ball or whatever it is they need to do. Their coaches actually put them through a visualization process, and they have to visualize making it. They have to visualize it perfectly, like hitting the ball exactly as they're supposed to do it. And this is, coming out in research and stuff now. What's your take on that? Have you utilized that? Do you visualize? Do you write down specific goals?
I was exposed at a very, very young age. Now, it all goes back to nature and nurture, right? Nature can be how you are, how you're born. I don't believe in that. I believe in during life, you are nurtured. So things you meet, people you meet over your course of your life, whether it's your parents to begin with, your relationship with your brother, how you are in school, your experiences in college, university, sixth form, and then work. I believe that during your whole life, you develop in different ways to become the person you are. 17 years old, I was exposed very, very early on to visualization and goals. I used to work for a company called Newman Estate Agents at 17.
Right.
The guy who ran it was like way ahead of his time, a guy called Sean Newman, and he runs an amazing company now still. Sean was big on like Tony Robbins and self-development, but back at 17 years old, at the end of each year, there was, right, what's your goals for next year in terms of work goals, personal goals? And for me, I was thinking, wow, what's this about? Why do I need to write goals for? Surely, we're gonna do that at some point. I soon come to realise that actually the chances of achieving these goals by firstly writing them down, and then what I used to have is, if you can imagine the old travel agents, like the perspex screen where you've got the promo on the front, on the opposite side of that. So I'm facing it on my desk. I'm sitting in a estate agent, there's loads of little pictures. whether it was a car or a house or a particular holiday or an amount of money. So I knew every day when I was getting up why I was getting up for. Amazing. If I had a bad day, I was feeling down, a bit tired, hungover. Amazing. I was always reverting that every single day. Amazing. And even at a very, very young age, when I met Emma, my now wife, she said to her mum, "Oh, he's really older for his years. He's very grown up. He's got goals. He's got things he wants to work towards." These goals on a pinboard in my bedroom. Every single year during my time, I had 8 years at this company, Newman Estate Agents. Every year, I knew exactly what I wanted to achieve, how I'm going to achieve it. A lot of the time, if I'm being honest with you, they actually happened. I would say 60, 70, 80% of the time, these things that I set out achieve. And even now, last year, if I look back at last year's objectives that I set myself, I now run them quarterly, so every 3 months I can kind of keep my mind in check. 8 out of 10 times, 80% of the times, most of the things are done. If they aren't done, it might be something out of my control, or maybe it kicks into the following year or the following quarter that I can do. So I honestly believe for anyone out there, if you want to do something, start off by getting on a piece of paper. Start having something visual to say, this is what I want my life to look like, or what I would like in terms of an outcome. That's just a start. And by seeing it every day, subconsciously, I think your brain starts wanting that and thinks, okay, I've got to get my arse into gear to do something about that. Absolutely. So yeah, huge on it, absolutely huge. Amazing. And I encourage all of my team to do it every year as well.
Yeah, you do?
All of them. Yeah.
Everyone.
Everyone
person has to do it.
Every single person has to do it. So it goes top down, management, down to their teams, and it starts with revenue and personal things. I'm big on personal. It shouldn't all be about work. What are some of the things you want to achieve? And
health, relationships.
Massively.
Financial is a part of it, but the full
holiday
package.
I sort of one of the amazing things that I get to do in my job now is see people come to Dubai and their family or friends see them where they live for the very first time. And sometimes they pay for them to come out. Wow. And that is very satisfying. So one of the things I encourage people joining the business is have this very high on your list to achieve. Be able to pay for friends or family to come and see you guilt-free, because that experience is going to be way more valuable than a watch or a handbag or a pair of shoes, which at some point they're probably going to have anyway.
Fantastic. I'm going to ask you a question now.
Okay.
I want to know, what's a challenge that you faced in your career that really tested you? Something that maybe initially you were like, oh my God, I'm in for one here. Yeah. So year into the business, 2 years, maybe 2 years and 18 months into the business, 40 people working there. We probably admittedly took our foot off the gas a little bit. Me and Lewis feel like you made it. A bit of money coming in.
Yeah, a bit of money coming in. Decent sized team. We'd installed some good people to run sales teams, whatever. Yeah. These two people that are running certain departments, without us knowing, were running meetings, basically encouraging people to leave the business and to go and set up on their own. Without us knowing, obviously we had friends in the business that kind of had our ear and alerted us of this. But basically, Carl and Lewis are shit, excuse my French, but Carl and Lewis are shit. They don't care about you, and we're going to set up on our own. Who wants to come?
Wow.
We weren't in that meeting.
Two of your
most senior people we consider senior had this conversation with the team. They subsequently went to set up on their own, took 60, 70% of the staff.
Wow.
Completely wiped out most of the staff in the business. Obviously, there's me and Lewis really firefighting to try and firstly keep people, and then obviously rebuild back up. So, an important lesson there was to ensure you got your fingers on the pulse at all times, and make sure you're getting the right people in charge. Not just from a skill set perspective, but good human beings. Yeah, it's hard to come by, unfortunately. But yeah, and there are a couple of things along the way which you learn from. And you think, I'll never do that again.
Yes.
Whether it's things to do with the setup of the business or decisions you make with staffing. And I think actually all the things that have gone wrong in my time, and by the way, in 17 years of business, it's not been plain sailing at all. But I do think all the little knockbacks you get along the way make you a lot better person, a lot better business owner. So when that next decision needs to be made, you're better for it. You know, you can take a bit of calm and you know what to do and what to say and make the right decisions. And I wouldn't change what happened there. It was a good thing in a weird way.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I fully believe that when you have these big goals, you're going to get challenges for a reason.
Yeah.
Like the worst things that have happened to me have been the best things that have ever happened to me. The business that I separated with my business partner, it was a big mess. Getting my head crushed in Afghanistan, any kind of small thing that I've done that's led to something really bad has been my biggest lesson. And every time I'm like, after it, I'm like, I was supposed to do that because now I have this information, and then you don't make the same mistake again. You know, when the stakes are bigger, like now. Here's a question: those guys that left, are they still in business?
One, no. One, barely noticeable. Like, you know, if he's there, he's making zero impact in the business whatsoever.
I bet that was a fire up your ass at that point. That probably, like, you doubled down on your...
Do you know what? Obviously, there's been mistakes in business Lewis and I have made, my business partner, over the years. A lot of the things that tend to happen can be through complacency.
Right.
You know, over your time, you know, and actually, in the last 5-6 years, I know there's no room for complacency. I've always got to have an edge. That's been one of my strengths. Strength and weakness, having an edge. But complacency's always led to perhaps a problem, whereas, you've had a big fuck up. You know, something's really, really gone wrong through a stupid mistake. Yes, they have happened, but providing we're doing the right things, we're not complacent, we're on the ball all the time, I'm pretty confident that, you know, hopefully we'll reduce any particular issues moving forward. But it's been a blessing. It's been a good thing. You know, my dad says to me, I can't remember that's a saying, but these things are sent to try us or test us, something along the lines where, you know, and also this too shall pass, he says.
Oh, what a great one. A quote, by the way.
Yeah.
When times are going really good and you're like at the peak, this will pass. Yeah. And when you're at the bottom.
But bad times as well, this too shall pass. Whatever you're going through right now, good, bad, dark moments, what you're going through, you'll pass.
Apart from your dad and obviously your brother, you know, you mentioned environment, which for me personally, environment is I've noticed before I was exposed to Lee, for example, my mindset was very limited. And being around Lee exploded this glass ceiling that was hovering above me that I thought, this is where I can get to. And after meeting Lee and being around him, I'm like, oh my God, I'm setting the standard too low. And that's why I try and get around people that are doing so much more better than me.
Yeah.
Because it raises, even hanging around with you and being I see your mindset and some of the things you say, I'm like, I'm still playing small. You know, have you had, apart from family members, somebody that you've looked up to, or maybe it's someone that you don't know, they weren't immediately in your environment, but it was somebody that you know, like an entrepreneur or somebody that you've gotten that from, like being around? Is there anyone that you've looked up to?
It's going to sound really terrible saying this, but actually in business, no. Probably my brother. He's my business partner. You know, we are yin and yang. And everyone has up, down days. He is incredible, you know, and when I'm feeling a certain way, he'll be like, bump, bring it straight back up. Equally, I rein him back in. We're a perfect balance now. I admire him a lot. His story is incredible, by the way, for what he's gone through. But in business, do you know what? You meet people along the way, whether it's yourself or other business people, where you take little bits from. You think, I like that. I like the way you've done things. I actually take a lot from people that work for me.
Right.
There's a lot of people in the business where I've got certain mannerisms or certain styles or ways of working, whether it's management or even, you know, people in a sales role. And I think, do you know what? I like that. And actually, if you keep doing that, you're going to go a long, long way. I tend not to get too distracted with the world in general. You know, people always obsess. Some people say ex-competitors doing this. Honestly, on my children's life, I don't know. Never look at another company's website. Never look at their Instagram. It doesn't bother me. You know, I can't control whatever they're doing. I always look at what I'm doing. I try and solve the problems that we need in our business and try and make the customer experience better. If I'm focusing on other people, then I'm not focused on the core goal of making our business better. So coming back to it, no, I don't have too many, if I'm being honest with you. I think my brother's been a huge support mechanism over the years. I get inspired and impressed by staff and maybe people I meet in business through business partnerships. I think, I like that. I like little things. And it's all about learning, I think, little bits along the way and not a lot from one or two people.
Right. Get a little bit from a lot of different people.
Yeah, just like no one's perfect.
Sense. Yeah, that makes complete sense. You've been on a health journey recently, but I want to go back because from your photos it wasn't that long ago that you've sent me, and it's like, oh my God, this guy is completely changed.
Yeah.
So I want to know, like, when you were starting out in the business and you were obviously working, ungodly hours and everything, did you have a routine for health? Have you always trained? And did that have an impact in business at all? Or is this just something now that you're at a level, or maybe you hit an age, regardless of the financial level, it's more like an age and you've got kids now where you're like, this needs to be a priority for me. Talk about that a little bit.
15, 16, I was lifting weights very, very early on with one of my really good friends in the UK. Probably lifting weights until my early 20s. Played football a lot, 4 or 5 times a week, so it's always been something I've been...
You were very fit at that point.
At that early 20s, I was very, very fit. Set up the business, that changed a lot, because you're basically either driving and eating from a petrol station, or working very, very long hours, 7:30 till 9, 10 o'clock at night, probably eating very, very bad things. These are days before delivery. Right. So again, you're probably eating out of garages or whatever you can get.
Yeah.
So diet wasn't great. If you're working these long days, without it sounding like an excuse, genuinely there was not time to do much working out. So as soon as I moved to Dubai, any deliveries basically piled on a lot of weight through the convenience of, you can get a pizza from your building downstairs. Brilliant, amazing.
Yeah.
That coupled with long days, working, eating really, really bad food.
Yeah.
I think 17 years ago, there was a lot less information in terms of health than there is today. So
Absolutely, yeah.
Calories, I don't even know was a thing then.
For sure, yeah.
Kids come along.
Yeah.
Me and Emma, honestly speaking, yes, we ticked over and done bits and pieces, but we're particularly unhealthy. Didn't eat really that well.
So you were still training then? Barely, a
couple of times a week, but nowhere near where you might go in the gym, spend 45 minutes and probably do 50% work. It's just a tick over.
Okay. But you play football as well?
Play football as well, yeah. But particularly unhealthy.
So there wasn't a period of like 4, 5, 6 months where you weren't doing any exercise at all?
No, not really.
Okay. There's always been some kind of routine?
Always some kind of routine, but food was probably never in check.
Right.
Kids come along, you see some photos, I didn't look particularly pleasing on the eye. At the time, you don't see that yourself, do you?
No, you don't. So what I'm gathering then, the fitness routine, it wasn't like a daily, non-negotiable kind of thing to help you be at your best. It wasn't.
No,
you were just.
It was just a side thing. Oh, I've got to go. I need to stay fit, and
right.
More
of an inconvenience.
Yeah, definitely more of an inconvenience. And I just used to love playing football. Even though I was not at my fittest, but I loved playing all the time. So that tipped me over. But again, the food counteracted all of anything that I did do anyway.
Was the football more of an escape, like a rest from all the work?
Yeah,
where
massively.
You were just focusing on like the ball and the game?
Massively. I love competing.
Yeah.
In anything.
Yeah, no shit.
Honestly, whether we've done a spin session this morning, there's me and you shout at each other because we're competing. But I love competing, whether it's on the football pitch. When I'm on a football pitch, people hate playing with me. They hate playing with me because I'm gobby. And I'll kick the living shit out of you because I want to win. It's not because I don't like you. I want to win. And even if it's a silly 5-a-side game, I want to win. When I go on the bike, I want to win. When I go and do a warm-up like that and it's a run, I want to win.
Yeah.
When I go to work, I fucking want to win. I don't want to be second best. I want to win. And again, that all comes back to when I was selling houses many, many years ago at 17 years old. More than money, I used to love seeing my name in lights. Well, it was the end of the year or the end of the month, going up and collecting an award, I used to get buzz off it. I used to love it. Everyone knows that Carl Allsopp, he was the best that month for that year. That was the biggest thing for me. So competition, where does that come from? Does it come from family? I don't know. Is it in you? Is it just something you... But I love it.
Is your brother the same?
In work, yes. In sports, nowhere near the level of my competition. I'm weird.
Yeah.
And I admit that I go too far.
You're like competitive in everything.
Everything, yeah.
Right, your brother, but I get the competitive streak from your brother as well. Like, he's extremely competitive.
He's very competitive, but he won't go to the levels I go to on a football pitch. I'll go to a level where
he picks his with work. He's like, I will be the best,
and he will be the best.
Yeah,
but on a football pitch, I will be irritating. I'll be like a mosquito. I'll be all over people. Whereas he'll do what he needs to do. And look, it's just, I don't know, like. Yeah, it's just where we are.
It's built in you.
It's built in me, yeah. And it's trust me, it's also a negative as well. You know, that.
Sometimes you don't need to be so competitive.
No, you don't. No, and he says to me, sometimes you're too intense, and that maybe that intensity comes from the will to always want to win.
Do you get that from your wife? Do you ever play I don't know, Monopoly or something, and she's like,
"Oh my God!" So I played Monopoly last Christmas. I wouldn't let me and my mother-in-law were really competitive to the point she beat me in the end, but she was so smug about it. And I weren't happy. I was sulking for about half an hour afterwards.
So wait, hold on. So just to get this straight, you wouldn't lose on purpose to your mother-in-law just so she could feel better?
No. Listen, let me tell you now, my children, when I play computer games, I will not let my kids win.
No, really?
No way. Hilarious. They've got to learn to lose.
Awesome. That's so good. You've achieved so much, and you're at this level in all different aspects of life. And I asked you when we were training and stuff one day, you don't need to do anything anymore just because of the money. It's not your driving factor now, clearly, because you don't need any more money, really.
I love money, yeah.
You love money,
yeah.
and it's one of those resources that you can never really have enough of. I get there's always that next level, and you're very competitive, right? So I get that, but what is your driver now? Like, what's making you go up in the morning, go to the office, and still be that relentless drive?
Fear of never not being number one again. So coming into work and knowing I have to be at it every day, my team have to be at it every day to ensure that we stay ahead of the pack. Another thing is, I don't want my kids to want for anything during life. I'm not saying I had a hard upbringing, but everything I had to do, I've done it myself.
Yeah.
Everything. Now, you could argue by giving your kids everything or giving a head up in life could have adverse effects. It could have different effects to how they're shaped in their life. But if I can do everything I can to give them a very, very good life and their kids a very, very good life, I've done my time on earth, my job's done. And I think that's what drives me when I go to work in the morning, to ensure that everything I do for my kids, I do for my wife. I want to make sure that they're happy, they've got everything, they don't need for anything. So, yes. I don't know, just to ensure that the edge, I keep telling myself I need to be and I need to work hard to make sure we don't fall behind.
Yes.
And if we don't fall behind and stay ahead in everything we do, then my wife and kids and their kids will be fine for many, many years to come. So that's the biggest driver. Look, it's nice having that ego of being number one in certain aspects, whether it's awards, that's also
100%.
As well. But do you know what as well? I actually really, really, now we are where we are, me and Lewis, I really enjoy seeing other people around me succeed and be successful and make lots of money or meet partners and get married in the business or have kids. I mean, I can tell you 20, 30 different marriages and kids that people met at Allsopp and Allsopp, eventually having kids. And that for me is wow, we've played a very, very small part in shaping your life.
Yeah.
Or seeing new people come to the business and earn 50, 60,000 pounds, more than that 2 or 3 years salary in their first pay packet happened. Or I've seen parents walk around the offices to see where their son or daughter works. And for me, again, it's amazing because I hope they know that are in good hands.
Yeah.
You know, and you have these preconceptions of Dubai and what it is. Everything's good.
What would be, and I'm sure you give this to your team all the time. What would be some advice that you would give to somebody starting out?
Yeah.
I'm not going to, maybe not you as you, because I would normally reframe this as like you, but now I've heard about your upbringing and the kind of environment that you did and the work and stuff. Somebody has moved to Dubai, or maybe even someone's in the UK, they have like a feeling inside like, surely I was meant for more. And they're not enjoying their environment, their situation, and they have this like dream. What would be the advice for that person?
The reason I moved to Dubai, and it's linked to this question, by the way, is I went to go and watch Coventry City play with my dad, football match. We went to TGI Fridays afterwards. My brother was in Dubai doing really, really well, making my yearly salary in a month.
Right.
I was sitting there being the older brother. I started out the estate agency journey. I was the first one in it, 2-3 years ahead of him. He caught up with me and followed me on. He went into there, and I went into TGI's, and I was moaning at my dad. You know, I should be doing better than Lewis. Moaning about him being there and me being here, and it's not fair and this. And do you know what my dad said to me? Pour me a drink, as in, oh, poor you. You feel sorry for yourself. He said, if you want to go and make something of your life, go and resign tomorrow morning or Monday morning and go and join your brother. I mean, like, probably the biggest wake-up call and the harshest my dad has ever been on me in my life. Like, it wasn't a nice conversation, but I don't want to hear it. Yeah. If you want to do something about it. Suffice to say, I made the decision on the Monday to leave the business and joined him. Why I'm telling you that story is that for anyone starting out, a lot of people give up on themselves. If something hasn't happened quickly, it's like, I'm going to, whether it's a fitness routine or starting out in a business, they give up too quickly. They give up on themselves too early. But also take a risk. The biggest risk in life is not taking a risk. And I took a risk, going on that plane, joining my brother, didn't even work with him, by the way, I went to go and work for another real estate company, sold a property my second day working there. My risk was leaving a company. I'd been there 8 years, really established, earning good money for the UK. Take a risk. What's the worst that can happen in life? Yeah. Nothing works out. Okay, great, go again. And not giving up. Sometimes as well, I see it in my offices, people are very quick to point fingers, blame, give up, and do you know what? They never look at themselves and never think, okay, so what did I do to help contribute to the decision that I made eventually? Did I do everything I can to make this a success? And you think a lot of the time you'll probably come back to the answer, if people are being honest with themselves, is no, I didn't. So don't give them yourselves, take a risk and work your fucking bollocks off, because there's many, many, many people in this world that work a lot harder than you, and they can be smarter than you and work harder than them. That was my whole thing, my whole mantra. If you're smarter than me, I will always work harder than you. But my job is to be smarter, work harder, and that's what with anyone else. You've got to compete. You've got to compete in this world. If you don't compete, I'm sorry, you get left behind. It's a bad, dark, cold world out there. It's unforgiving. Life doesn't give you anything. You've got to work for it yourselves. Anyone that says or has success at any form in life, I fucking hate the word luck. Oh, you're lucky. Yeah. I hate it. Yeah. Hate it. No. Yeah. The harder you work, the old saying, you're lucky you get. Most people who are successful in life, there's always a story to it, and most people don't like or don't see the story behind it, what's beneath, and all the foundations and the roots to get to that point. They only see, oh, he's there, he's got this. Yeah. Whereas you don't see all the dark days of the work that gets in there. Don't give up on the dark days. If you keep going through, this too shall pass, you'll get where you need to get to.
Amazing. I think that we've just nailed on an absolute high note, so I want to stop there.
Yeah.
And something you just said that I just want to repeat, which I've never heard it be said like this before. The biggest risk is not taking a risk. Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time. Really appreciate it.
So we give a little special shout out to my wife, by the way. She's had a big influence on my life also. Super positive. She's on this fitness journey with me as well. So if she's not mentioned, she'll have a moan at me.
Mate, well, on that though, my life completely changed 180 when I met my wife.
Yeah. Mine too, you know what? It made me, I've heard your story, and you know, I actually think the person you're with, the partner you're with, makes you a better person. She's made me a better person 100%. You know, I've always had an edge and probably an unhealthy edge. She's made me a lot calmer. Kids do that as well, but me and Emma are absolute opposites. And if I had an Emma that was like me, it would be a disaster.
Yeah.
And that was my mum and dad's problem. They were perhaps too similar or in different journeys.
Yeah.
You know, whereas me and Emma, you know, we're so opposite, but so in tune. It just works really well. And I just think, you know, if you're going to be successful in life, choosing that right person as well that complements you is also very, very key. You know, I've had friends and family that have had partners and, you know, that have actually been a weight on them and actually held them back to being successful, whether it's clashing and asking why you work, you know, why are you working all night and not understanding, not having empathy or sympathy with the situation.
Yeah.
So that's also a big thing also.
Yeah. No, I've heard it before that picking your partner is one of the most important decisions of your whole life. And if I didn't meet my wife, there's not a chance that I would be here today. And having that support at home, when you're taking like big risks, like you said, and somebody saying, it's like you know you need to do it and you are going to do it, but having somebody that's in your situation with you, that's relying on you saying, go for it, is like, wow, But also a balance as well, from that high octane, busy, stressful day to coming home and just having a bit of calmness. Do you think kids have changed you? Kids changed me? Theo changed me?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. For the good?
100%. I'm way more focused, way more disciplined. I don't waste as much time as I used to, because now I always think, right, I'm not with my son right now, and I want to be with him. So I better be fucking doing something that's that's good and efficient and going to get me somewhere, rather than just, you know, messing around. So it's made me a lot more focused.
I have people come to work for us in Dubai, by the way, and they leave their kids at home in the UK. And the respect I have for these people, not selfish, as in I'm going to do everything I can to make sure they can come out here. Because me being away, my daughter's going away for 3 nights next week, the first time ever, like a school trip.
Wow.
And I'm dreading it. So 1 night away from my kids is like, I would hate it. So the respect I have for people sacrificing and leaving their kids is unbelievable. Lewis says to me, kids have made me softer. Probably for a good reason. They've made me softer, they've made me a bit more... not humane, because that's terrible to say, but a bit more,
for sure,
a bit more empathy in general.
For sure, absolutely, mate. Before I had Theo, I had a tear had not shed from my eye since my parents divorced at 12. Apart from a physical, emotionally, it was blocked from my parents' divorce. And when his head started coming out, I got I got this like tingling in my throat that I'd not experienced since I was an early teen. And I was like, and as soon as he came out, I broke down. It's his voice, his cry, broke all of the layers that I'd built up over the years and hit me right there. I was crying for like 2 weeks after. I would think about him at work and a tear would start going down my face.
But also seeing what your wife went through for you, the amount of pain and, you know, suffering for 9 months and comfortable, you know, the love that you have for your wife. After your baby's born, is like, wow, like you've done that for me, like
complete new respect. Complete new respect. Women have the hardest job.
By far. Like I come in sometimes at work and I see, certainly in the early years, I think like, wow, you know, you've had it hard today, and you know, any man that says, oh, you've got it easy, don't do this, don't do that, like being a mum is the hardest job in the world. It is. It's
the emotion, because you're so attached and you love your kids so much. It's emotionally draining. You can block in a work environment. It is emotionally draining, but it's work. It's business. family, your kids, like having to work with your kid every day and provide for them.
It's
and
teaching the training of kids as well, that patience that's required.
Yeah.
It does drain on you. You know, it can also affect a relationship as well. You know, you see so many relationships that end up splitting because of kids, because you don't give each other time. That first 2-3 years is tough.
Yeah.
Tough on any couple and family, and you have to kind of navigate through that and make sure you stay together and give each other time as well, not just the child.
Mate, you have done me a massive favour when you told me, go on a date with your wife, and you were relentless with it. Book it into your calendar, stick it in. It's a non-negotiable, do it. And I can tell you, we have become closer because of that, because we lost touch.
Yeah. Look, just having a conversation, not being mum and dad, being Cyrus and Elisha, and reconnecting to what you were like before children, can only have good things. Have any conversation. Women sometimes just want to have a chat, have a talk, and how was your day, how's you going on, rather than distractions of child and dogs and work and everything going on. Just reconnect. I think that's really, really important for any couple. Mine and Emma's is actually ironically in a cinema where you're not talking to each other, but it's what we enjoy. You know?
I'd love to go. Yeah. I have not been to a cinema for years, and
they're good over here as well.
Yeah. Thanks, mate. Really appreciate it.
Cheers, mate.